Going to take a break from woodworking projects and get back on this International 345. Last we left off, I had just put most of it back together. I still need to drop the distributor in, put in some plugs, hook up the coil, get a few other things in place, and then we can start this thing and run it. So the first thing I want to do though is haul this thing into the workshop where it's a little bit warmer. Let's start with the plugs. Let's set the gap on the new plugs. Supposed to be at 30. Okay, we're ready to go. I'm going to leave number 8 out because that's how I'm going to have to set the distributor. So I'll put that in when I'm done. I'm going to pre-oil the engine before I put the distributor in. To do that, I'll be using it's an old spade bit that I cut off and a drill. And that will engage the oil pump. Get some light on this, you can see down in there. You see that little slot there? That's where that paddle will engage, and then I can spin up that oil pump. Okay, I'm going to take a couple passes at this. I'll spin it up, bring it up to oil pressure, and that'll pre-oil things. It'll bring it all the way up through the rocker arms, or through the rocker shafts, get us good and oiled. But I'm going to have to rotate the engine so that I can get the other bank of rocker arms oiled up. So if you keep an eye on this oil pressure gauge, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. All right, you're going to see me bring it up to pressure. If I had had the valve covers off, you'd see oil coming up along those rocker shafts. Now we're going to turn it about, maybe quarter turn. And we'll try it again. Give it another turn, and so on. All right, that should do it. Let's move on to the distributor. Okay, before I can put the distributor in, I need to find top dead center on cylinder number 8. Now that's important to know because an International is different than just about any other V8. Most other V8s, you time them off of 1, but on the International it's 8. So what you need to do is get it at top dead center on the compression stroke. Then you can set your distributor. Now one of the problems with this is I'm working by myself, and cylinder 8 is way in the back here on the passenger side, and I need to turn the crank on the front. So my arms aren't long enough to reach, but I did find a little tip online where they said use a piece of 1/4-inch hose, put that into the hole on 8, then you can reach it. So let's find top dead center. Now I'm just going to put my thumb over this, and when I feel it, want to try to push my thumb off of here, I'll know that I'm on the compression stroke. There it is. All right, we've got that. All right, let's drop the distributor in. There's a couple of things I want to show you here. I put a mark on here where cylinder 8 is, and ultimately when this goes in, I want that pointing right at that mark. Now I can't put it directly on that mark because of this helical gear. When I drop this in, it's going to turn just a little bit. So let's drop it in, and I'll show you. There we go. All right, that's too far because I want to have enough room with this thing that I can turn this to adjust the timing. So I think I'm off by a tooth. I'm just going to bring it back up till just the point where the disengages. Bring it back 1. And let's go back in now. Okay. That's where I want it. This is lined up with this. I've got plenty of room both directions to adjust timing. So we're good to go. So the next thing I want to do is get my plug wires all plugged in. Now the first thing you need to know is the firing sequence, and if you look right on the intake manifold, they have the firing order. That's 1843572. So that is a guide on how I want these wires to run. If you look down here, you'll know that this first one, remember this was 8 that we had pointing forward, and right next to 8 is 1, but this runs in a clockwise fashion. So it is, again, it's 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, and then 2. Now the way that the cylinders are numbered is the driver's side is basically 1, 3, 5, 7. Passenger side is 2, 4, 6, 8. And if you don't remember that, it's written again right on this intake. You can't quite, that one's tough to pick out. That says 1. There's our 3, 5, 7 coming around the other side. There's 8, 6, 4, see if we can read this one. There it is. There's 2 right there. So that's what I'm going to use as a guide. Okay, so we got all the wires hooked up. The last thing we'll do is put the coil wire on. I've already got the rest of my starting switches set up. So what I've got is just some reuse switches, but I've got an on-off switch and a start button. The on-off switch basically carries 12 volts to the coil, and then the coil of course is hooked to the distributor. And then the start button, see if we can come over here, basically it just connects these two terminals on the starter to run this. And then here's where I'm picking up my power. So let's see, what else do we need to do here? I guess we just need to hook up the battery cables. Before I put any fuel in it, we're just going to test it and make sure it's got spark. All right, I'm all done making my mess here. Got everything put together. I do have spark, and I'm able to turn this thing over. I hit the starter once and it spun a little bit and I couldn't get to go again. Turned out I just had some really crappy cables, so I took those all apart, got them all cleaned up. This battery might need a little bit of a charge. I'm not going to start this thing right now, but I do want to just spin it over just to show that it works. I'm not even going to turn it on. I just want to turn the starter over, but all I got to do is push this button. There we go. So the next thing to do here, I guess, is to put some gas, roll this thing outside, put some gas in it, and let's see if it fires up. Okay, I had my wiring messed up. Instead of running my power to hot, I actually ran it to negative. So no spark. We should be getting spark now. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah. All right, I got to play with timing. Probably take a look at the car, but we are running. Woo! First step is accomplished. I got it running reasonably well. You know, I've just timed it by ear, and the carb definitely needs some work, but I at least wanted to get it so it would idle, and it's doing that. So the next thing I want to do is run it for an extended period of time just to make sure we don't have leaks, and then I get a good listen to it before it goes into the truck. So I'm gonna have to add a radiator to my engine stand, and I picked up a radiator a couple years ago on Craigslist. I think this is out of maybe a 50s Chevy pickup. Hopefully it doesn't leak, but I need to get that mounted here. Okay, I'm going to start with a support frame. Get that centered on there and screw it in. So those of you out there, you metal workers, don't judge me. I'm a woodworker. This is what I know to work with. This is my comfort zone. Radiator's mounted. Now, this radiator came off of Craigslist a couple years ago, and I haven't really tested it. I was assured it was in good shape and didn't leak. It's out of an old 50s Chev truck, but I figured I could adapt it for at least a temporary run. Next thing I'm going to do is steal the fan off of the truck and mount it here. I had to mount this pretty high because I needed enough room for the fan. The fan from the center of this pulley up here, I need 9 inches, so I gave myself 10 inches there. And from the face of the pulley out here, I need a good 2 inch. I've got 3.5, so the fan will clear no problem the way it's set right now. The next thing I'll do is come up with some sort of a hose arrangement. For the upper hose, I just need a very short run from here to here. And this is 1.5 inches. It's going to 2 1/4, so I'm going to have to accommodate that change. The bottom one might be a little more challenging. As you can see, the bottom one is on the passenger side. And my inlet for my water pump is way over on the right side. So I've got to bring it down underneath here, back around, and up here. So I have to do a little bit of shopping to see what I can find. I'll probably use a flex line. So that's it. Got it ready to go. I think I'm going to wrap this video up at this point. And in the next video, I will fill this radiator with water. We'll make sure it doesn't have any serious leaks. And we'll get this thing up and running and run it for an extended period of time. So thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you on the next episode.